Alright, this is a game in the Tier 8 Russian medium, the Object 416 rear-mounted turret. Um, Good gun. On Cliff, I realized I hadn't really done a Cliff map before, so I wanted to talk about it at least a little bit. One of the better places to go in a tank like this is back here to A5, but it's a good sniping position. We're not going to go there for a number of reasons, mainly because going back there is a fairly passive play. You kind of need to wait for everything to come to you, so I don't normally go there, particularly early game. I think it's usually better to go up here to this sort of middle area here and see if you can prevent them from controlling this area and this donut too much. So that's where we're gonna head at the very least to start. And then we see we have our light tanks going up here, which is good because they can potentially light across, which is usually pretty key unless you want to have an idea what their dispersion is like. So you can go up where these guys are and light anything that crosses here, or you can also go over through this middle area here. These guys, they don't go up high enough, and see they basically get looked off by that other T-71. And if you're there, T-71, it looked like he wanted to try to go back up the back of the lighthouse, but then he stopped there, and you should definitely never stop. And then where I'm at right now is relatively already safe for most arty positions. You just still have to be careful and look out for, you don't want to sit there if you're lit. So we have a Type 59 in the middle, so he's covering that area pretty well. We still don't really know what's over here, but we know that they have at least 2 of their 8s over here, and 1 of the 8s down here, and there's only 5 total, so it's something that's worthwhile to keep an eye on. And so we don't really have that much intel, so I'm going to poke up over here and see if I can see anything. This tank does not really have good vision. Apparently there's a 3002D back there. And so they have 2 tanks on the back of the lighthouse, but it's only a KV-1S and an AMX-12T, 2 tier 6 tanks, right? We have a Tiger II, Panther M10, and a JP back there, so they should be able to take it. But I think during the stream I wanted to talk about fighting from up here, so I drove up here, which turns out to be a bad decision. I'll talk about that in a little bit. And then you look at our defense here, we've got a lot of guys sort of camping back here. That's not really where you want to be. You can't really effectively defend from back there. You're much better off being up here. You can have maybe one guy over there for a different angle of fire. And then if you come up to this lighthouse area, what I wanted to talk about, I thought that there might be more tanks back here, but apparently it was only the KV-1S. Is that you can hang off of these ledges and shoot down into the enemy, and they won't really be able to have the gun elevation to shoot back. In this case, I have to slide down in order to shoot that guy. And then I wanted to know if there's anything else back here, so I went around to look. Right, so their team so far, from what we've seen, has played fairly far back. And so the 3002D is the only thing that I can see over there. These guys are still sort of camping out over here. I think that if anything, they might push over on this side. We're also weak in the middle, so either side is sort of vulnerable to that. This side we're actually relatively strong. We got the Tiger II, who's still basically at full health. And then this 3001P is getting pushed by these guys. So I'm trying to drive over across to help him, but I'm not going to get over to his side first. So I want to try to get some shots on this STA. I back up a little bit so I'm behind this rock, so I'm already safe. And unfortunately, I'm not in time to save that 3002. or 3001. And so now we can see that they have their IS-3 over there as well as the Super Pershing, so they're starting to mop these guys up. These guys are going to be fine over here. But we're going to lose this side, and so you always want to try to recover this lost flank. You know, I'm fairly certain that we're going to win over here. Even if we win over here, it's not, we can't possibly outcap them if we leave them on this side on their own. And as I turn this corner, I surprise the 5100. And this 5100 was pulling pretty far back because we haven't actually seen him on the battlefield yet. Otherwise. And in the meantime, they're sort of slowly driving up towards our cap, so that lets me know that I need to get rid of this guy so that I can start facing and working on our cap. The Super Pershing is pushing our Panther. The IS-3, I think, is looking for Artie because he's going to the right instead of to the left. So that's going to give us some more time. So if he gets on the cap, right, that's cap pressure, and then, you know, we're sort of on the clock at that point. So if you watch that, the highlight that I did of to cap or not to cap, I talk about that a little bit. But without cap pressure, then I'm not in that much of a hurry. You know, I have plenty of time. I know that their tanks are here. I just need to focus on finding the best avenue to get to them. So their IS-3 went all the way over here to look for the Artie. Then he's going to go all the way to the other side, which is going to give us plenty of time to, right, these guys are still struggling to kill this 3002 over here. It's going to give them more time to win their flank, and it's going to give me more time to just work on these guys without being pressured as far as getting back in time for the cap. And then he gets on the cap, and there's a little lip on the cap between where he's at and this ridge that you can hide behind in certain spots. But he is not currently in one of those spots. He keeps backing up into an area where I can shoot him. So basically this Panther is lighting him, and, you know, I'm essentially getting free shots. And then I switch over to HE, because that way all I need to do is glance him with HE and he'll be dead. And I'm just trying to save our Panther here. And then it's just wrapping up. I'm not sure why these guys didn't just try to kill the Artie right off the bat. And then so that's one way to play Cliff. So one of the comments that I had about this game is I didn't play this game very intelligently. I wasted way too much time. We didn't have very much intel as far as where they went, but I played in the center for far too long and was too passive. I needed to get my gun more active earlier in the game. Driving up to the lighthouse, given what we had spotted there, was the wrong call. It was the wrong thing to do, and we lost tanks on this west side because of it. I should have gone over there earlier and or checked and made sure that they didn't have anything over here and just driven across. And that could have made the game a lot easier. So just because you do a lot of damage or get a lot of kills at the end of the game, that certainly doesn't mean that you played it very well. We could have made that game much easier by either A, getting more intel, or B, being more active in that early/mid game. So that's something you know, even in games that you win, you want to be able to find some points where you're just like, okay, yeah, I just kind of sat here for too long, you know, doing nothing, watching other people, you know, either die or, you know, move into positions that were outside of my influence, and you want to try to correct little things like that. And hopefully in another match I will show the proper way to play the lighthouse on Cliff. But anyways, I hope that was remotely helpful, and thanks for watching. Oh yeah, the stats. And again, I mean, we ended up doing a lot of damage, I mean, relative to the rest of our team, but I don't really think that that was relevant. Like halfway through the game, you know, when half of our tanks were dead, I had only done like 2 or 3 shots of damage or something like that. And that's really not acceptable. You can't be that passive or that out of the game. Sometimes you're just unlucky, you know, and everywhere you go, things die before you get there, sort of thing. But in a close game, you want to be much more active than I was in this particular game. And in the end, everything sort of funneled to me, which allowed me to essentially farm damage that the Panther M10 did a great job of lighting the cap and providing a spot where they needed to push him, and it was very easy for me to cover him, and so that sort of contributed to that a lot as well. So now that's all I think I have to say about that. So thanks for watching.